Alara walked slowly through the village square, her wooden stick tapping lightly against the cobblestones. Every step was measured, careful. And yet there was a certain rhythm to it that seemed almost deliberate. As if the stick itself guided her, children whispered and pointed. And the women in their brightly colored skirts giggled behind their hands. Even the men smirked, though some tried to hide it behind polite nods. "Look at her," a boy snickered. "She can barely walk without that thing. She'll fall before she reaches the fountain," another whispered cruelly. Alara's cheeks burned, but she did not quicken her pace. She kept her chin high, letting the murmurs wash over her like rain she could not control. She knew the whispers. She had known them all her life, and yet there was something stubbornly alive inside her that refused to bow to them. Her stick was not just a crutch. It was carved with symbols she did not fully understand yet. Symbols that had been etched by her grandmother, who had once whispered about magic and power hiding in plain sight. Alara had never thought much of it until strange things began to happen. Shadows seemed to bend slightly when she walked. The wind sometimes carried words only she could hear. And at night, the forest seemed to hum in a language she could almost understand. Today, though, the forest was far away. Today, the village mocked her. By the fountain, a group of girls gathered, their hands holding baskets of fruit, their eyes gleaming with unkind amusement. "You're going to drop that stick on your face, broken girl," one said. Alara's fingers tightened around the wood. Her heart raced, not with fear, but with something darker, a rising flame of anger that she rarely allowed herself to feel. She opened her mouth, ready to answer, but the words stuck. She was not yet ready to reveal what she could do. Then a cold wind swept across the square, sudden and unnatural. The birds scattered, and a hush fell over the villagers. Even the mockers froze. A shadow passed at the edge of the fountain, tall and dark, and for the first time, the laughter died completely. Alara felt it before she saw it, a presence. Strong and commanding, watching her. It was not human. She knew, though it moved with a human grace. Her chest tightened. Every instinct told her to flee. But her legs did not obey. She stood taller, gripping her stick as if it were a sword, feeling the faint thrum of power coursing through it. From the shadows of the forest, a figure stepped forward. His eyes were like molten silver, glowing faintly even in the dim light. His presence made the air heavier, colder. His hair was dark as midnight, falling over shoulders that seemed broader and stronger than any mortal's. The villagers gasped, stepping back. Some even crossed themselves. The figure did not speak at first. He simply watched Alara, head tilted slightly, as if weighing her soul. Then his lips parted, and his voice, smooth and low, carried across the square. "They mock you," he said, "and yet you do not break. That makes you interesting." The villagers murmured nervously. Alara's heart skipped. She did not know who this man or creature was, but something deep inside recognized power. A power she had barely begun to understand herself. Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice steadier than she expected. He smiled faintly, a slow, dangerous curl of lips that was both terrifying and mesmerizing. "I am Kalen," he said. "And you, girl, are stronger than you believe." Alara blinked. Stronger than she believed? She had never heard such words. She had only known weakness, only known being laughed at, pushed aside, treated like she did not matter. Stronger than she believed, the words rolled over her like a tide, strange and new, and for the first time, she did not feel afraid. The villagers were unsettled. One man muttered, "He is no ordinary man. He must be a hunter of some kind." Another woman whispered about curses and old legends. None dared approach him. Kalen's gaze returned to Alara, piercing yet not unkind. "Tell me," he said, "do you know what it is to truly stand?" Alara hesitated. The world had taught her to bow, to hide, to be small. But the words from this stranger, this being, ignited a fire. She lifted her chin higher. I try, she said, voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. Try? Kalen's tone was almost amused, but his eyes never left hers. No, you do not try. You endure. You survive. That is the first step. But endurance alone is not enough. Strength, true strength, is knowing when to stand and when to strike. Alara did not understand completely, but something inside her stirred. She felt the stick in her hand, its warmth now pulsing faintly, as if agreeing with him. She could not yet fight like the knights she had read about in old stories. But she could feel that the forest, the winds, and the shadows were speaking to her, whispering her name. Follow me, Kalen said suddenly, stepping back toward the forest. There is more you must see. There is more you must learn. Alara's heart hammered in her chest. The villagers gasped, some calling after her, warning her, begging her not to go. But the fear in their eyes only made the forest seem less frightening. She knew somewhere deep inside that this was her choice. She could continue hiding in the village, accepting the scorn. Or she could step into the unknown. She took a deep breath and followed. Each step felt heavier than the last, yet lighter at the same time. As if the stick herself was guiding her forward, the villagers watched, stunned, as the girl who had been mocked all her life walked with purpose into the darkening trees. The forest embraced them silently. Shadows stretched long and twisted in the fading light, and the air was thick with the scent of moss, wet leaves, and something older. Something that hummed beneath the bark of every tree. Alara felt it in her bones. A strange energy calling to her, urging her forward. Kalen stopped at the edge of a small clearing, moonlight falling in silver beams through the branches. He turned to her, and for the first time, his expression softened just slightly. You have potential, he said, more than you know. But potential alone is not enough. You must learn control, discipline, courage, and you will have to face truths about yourself that may frighten you. Alara gripped her stick tighter. I'm not afraid, she said, though a part of her heart whispered that she was. Kalen's lips curved in a faint, approving smile. Good. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward despite it. For a long moment, they stood in silence, the forest alive around them. The leaves rustled, the shadows shifted, and the night seemed to breathe. Alara felt both small and immense at once, as if the world had expanded and shrunk around her simultaneously. Then Kalen spoke again, his voice dropping to a whisper that seemed to echo in her mind. They mocked you in the village, but out here, in the wild, strength is the only language that matters, and you, Alara, are stronger than any of them, stronger than even you believe. Alara's heart raced. These words, repeated now, were like a drumbeat in her chest, stronger than she believed. The forest hummed, the shadows whispered, and for the first time, she did not feel broken. She felt powerful, but before she could speak, a sudden rustling came from deeper in the forest. Leaves snapped under heavy, unseen footsteps. Alara froze, her grip on the stick tightening. Kalen's eyes narrowed, sharp and dangerous. As he stepped slightly in front of her, someone is watching, he said, his voice low. Not all who dwell in the shadows wish you well. Alara swallowed hard, the night suddenly alive with uncertainty. And yet, she did not step back. Somehow, she knew that this forest, this mysterious vampire, and this strange awakening within herself were all threads of something larger, something that would change her life forever. Kalen's gaze lingered on her, silver eyes gleaming. Are you ready, Alara? Because the world you knew is gone. And what comes next will demand everything of you. Alara took a deep breath, lifting her chin high. Her stick felt alive in her hands, pulsing softly. echoing her heartbeat. "I am ready," she said, voice steady. Even as her heart thumped wildly, Kaylin's smile widened, faint and knowing, as the shadows of the forest deepened around them. And for the first time in her life, Ilara felt like the girl who had been mocked no longer mattered. She was becoming someone else, someone strong, someone feared, someone powerful. And in the distance, the forest whispered her name. The forest at night was alive in a way the village could never understand. Shadows stretched and twisted among the ancient trees, and the air carried a low, constant hum, like whispers of secrets too old to remember. Ilara followed Kaylin deeper into the woods, each step feeling both frightening and exhilarating. Her stick tapped against roots and stones. Echoing through the silence, Kaylin moved with a grace that seemed almost unreal. Every step was precise, silent, controlled. His presence was like the forest itself, dark, commanding, and impossible to ignore. Ilara kept her eyes on him, trying to mirror his movements. Though she stumbled more than once, "You will learn," Kaylin said softly, not turning his head. "The forest tests those who enter. It is not enough to walk through it. You must understand it, feel it, become part of it." Ilara nodded, though she was not sure what that meant. She had always been careful, hiding in plain sight, avoiding attention. But now, walking beside Kaylin, she realized there was a different kind of attention. One that could awaken something inside her. Something she had never known. They stopped in a small clearing, moonlight filtering through the trees in thin silver beams. The ground was soft with moss, and the air smelled of earth and rain. Kaylin turned to her, his eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "Here," he said, gesturing to the center of the clearing. "This is where you begin." Ilara looked around nervously. "What do I do?" she asked. Kaylin smiled faintly. "You will do what you were always meant to do. You will learn to control what lives within you." He stepped back, and suddenly, the shadows around them shifted. They grew longer, darker, twisting toward Ilara like smoke. She stumbled, gripping her stick tightly. The stick pulsed with warmth, a strange energy flowing from it into her hand. "Do not be afraid," Kaylin said, his voice calm but commanding. "Fear is natural. Courage is moving forward despite it." Ilara took a deep breath and focused on the stick. She had always known it was special, though she could not say why. Now, under Kaylin's watchful eyes, she felt it awaken. The energy hummed through her, strong and alive. She lifted the stick, pointing it at the shadows. The shadows hesitated, flickering as if unsure of themselves. Ilara's heart raced, but she did not look away. Slowly, she moved the stick in a wide arc, and the shadows recoiled. Twisting back into the trees, Kaylin's eyes gleamed with approval. "Good. You are stronger than you believe. But strength alone is not enough. You must learn control. Power without control is chaos." Ilara nodded, feeling both pride and fear. Kaylin stepped closer, his presence overwhelming but comforting. "Your stick is a part of you. It carries a bond, old and mysterious. It will respond to your will. But only if you understand yourself first. You must face the fear inside, before you can command the world outside." Ilara looked at her hands, gripping the stick. The thought of facing her fear made her chest tighten. But something inside whispered that she could. She had spent her life surviving, enduring mockery, pain, and solitude. She knew fear intimately, but now, it was time to use it, to transform it into something powerful. For hours, Kaylin guided her. He taught her how to move with purpose, how to sense the forest and its secrets, how to feel the energy of the stick and direct it. Every motion was deliberate, every breath measured. Ilara struggled at first, stumbling, falling, frustrated with herself. But Kaylin never scolded her. Instead, he watched patiently, correcting her posture, adjusting her grip, guiding her with quiet words. "You are learning," he said finally, after what felt like endless practice. But this is only the beginning. The world outside is far harsher than this forest. Darkness waits, and it will test you in ways you cannot imagine. R4. Ilara's stomach tightened. I am ready, she said, though part of her was uncertain. Could she really face what lay ahead? Kalen's eyes softened, and for a moment, his centuries-old aloofness cracked. I have seen many fall, he admitted, voice low, even the strong. But you may endure where others fail. You carry a fire few possess. Do not waste it. As the night deepened, Kalen led Ilara to a small stream, the water glimmering like liquid silver under the moonlight. He stopped and looked at her, his expression serious. Tonight, he said, you will face something. Not a creature, not a shadow, but yourself. Ilara's pulse quickened. She had never faced herself like this. She had always hidden behind her stick, behind the village's mockery. But now, Kalen was asking her to confront her deepest fear, the weakness she had carried all her life. Close your eyes, Kalen instructed. Listen to the forest. Feel the energy. Let it guide you. Ilara obeyed, breathing deeply. The night seemed to close in around her. The sounds of rustling leaves, distant howls, and the gentle flow of the stream blending into a rhythm she could feel in her chest. She felt the stick vibrate lightly, pulsing with life. Now, Kalen whispered, face what you fear most. Images filled her mind, the villagers laughing, pointing, calling her broken. The memories of every fall, every humiliation. Every time she had been told she was weak, the shame and the anger surged together. Overwhelming, almost unbearable. But then she felt Kalen's presence, steady and grounding. His voice echoed in her mind. Courage is moving forward, despite fear. Ilara lifted her stick again, focusing on the energy within. She did not fight the memories. She let them flow through her. The anger and hurt did not control her. Instead, she channeled it, turning it into strength. The stick glowed faintly, and the shadows around her shivered. When she opened her eyes, she saw the forest differently. The trees no longer seemed menacing. The shadows no longer threatened. The energy within her was alive, strong, and responsive. She had faced her fear not by denying it, but by embracing it. Kalen stepped closer, his expression unreadable. Well done, he said finally. This is only the first step. There will be greater tests, darker challenges, but tonight, you have shown that you can endure, that you can wield power and remain yourself. Ilara's chest heaved, a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. For the first time, she felt truly alive, truly capable. She had always known the world had judged her. Now, she had begun to understand that she could rise above it. But even in this moment of triumph, there was a tension between them, unspoken, yet palpable. Kalen's gaze lingered on her longer than necessary. Silver eyes gleaming in the moonlight. There was admiration there, yes, but also something more, a recognition of potential, of fire, of something dangerous and compelling within her that called to him in ways he could not fully admit. Ilara felt it too, a strange pull she did not understand. Fear and fascination intertwined. She did not know what this connection meant, only that it existed and that it could not be ignored. Rest now, Kalen said, his voice soft but firm. Tomorrow, we begin again. The forest, the stick, your power. It is only the beginning. You must grow stronger, faster, smarter. There will be forces who wish to use you, to destroy you, and you cannot be unprepared. Ilara nodded, exhaustion threatening to overtake her. Yet a spark of determination burned bright. She had faced herself tonight. She had felt the stick awaken, and she had touched a power she had never imagined. Kalen turned toward the shadows of the trees, his form blending seamlessly into the night. I will watch, he said quietly, almost to himself. I will guide, but not protect. That is a line you must learn to walk on your own. I will guide. Ilara's heart beat fast. The lessons ahead promised danger, darkness, and challenges that would test every part of her. And yet, for the first time, she did not feel helpless. She felt capable, strong, alive. The night around them seemed to breathe with possibility. Somewhere deep in the forest, a distant howl echoed, reminding her that the world beyond this clearing was full of unknown threats. But she gripped her stick, steady and ready, and took a deep breath. The journey had begun. The next morning, the forest seemed different. Sunlight streamed through the trees, painting the mossy ground in streaks of gold. Birds called to each other, and the air smelled of damp earth and wildflowers. Yet, beneath this beauty, the forest carried a subtle tension, a sense that unseen eyes watched every movement. Elara awoke on a bed of soft moss, her stick resting beside her. She had slept under the canopy of the ancient trees, the night's lessons still fresh in her mind. The warmth of Kalen's presence lingered, even though he had slipped into the shadows before dawn. She could feel the pulse of the stick, faint but insistent, a reminder that her power was growing. She rose and stretched, feeling stronger than she had ever felt before. The forest no longer intimidated her. Instead, it felt like a place of possibilities, a living entity she could sense and communicate with if she tried. Her heart beat with anticipation. Today, she would learn more. Kalen appeared silently, stepping from the shadow of an oak, as if the tree had itself given him life. His eyes glimmered silver, sharp and calculating, but not unkind. "You have progressed faster than I expected," he said. "But speed is dangerous if it is not tempered with understanding. Power without wisdom leads to ruin." Elara picked up her stick and nodded. "I understand. I want to learn, Kalen. I want to be ready for whatever comes." Kalen's gaze softened slightly. "Good. Then today, we begin with control, but also with strategy. There are creatures in this forest older than you can imagine. Some are harmless, some lethal. You must learn to sense them, to understand intentions before they act." He led her to a narrow path winding deeper into the forest. Shadows stretched long in the morning light, and the silence pressed close. Elara followed, her senses alert, feeling the stick's gentle hum as if it were guiding her steps. "Focus," Kalen instructed. "Do not let fear cloud your mind. Listen to the forest." Elara closed her eyes for a moment, letting her other senses take over. The rustle of leaves, the distant drip of water, the faint vibration beneath her feet, they all spoke to her. She felt the energy of the forest pulsing like a heartbeat, and she realized she could sense the presence of animals, even the hidden creatures of the shadows. "Good," Kalen said, watching her closely. "You are learning. But sensing is not enough. You must act. Control comes from knowing when to move and when to wait." Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the underbrush. A large shape moved just beyond the trees, silent but deliberate. Elara stiffened, heart pounding. "Do not panic," Kalen said quietly. "Breathe. Observe." The shape stepped into the sunlight, a creature unlike any she had seen. Its form was shadowy, ever shifting, with eyes that glowed faintly like embers. It moved with grace, yet there was an intensity to it that made Elara's skin prickle. "Now," Kalen instructed, "use your stick. Do not attack blindly. Make it respond to you. Command your power." Elara raised the stick, feeling the warmth surge through her hands. The energy pulsed, responding to her intent. Slowly, deliberately, she extended the stick toward the creature. The creature halted, almost as if sensing her resolve. The forest held its breath. Elara felt the bond between herself and the stick deepen. She was no longer simply holding it, she was directing it, shaping the energy around her. With a thought, she wove a circle of light around the creature. It paused, curious, its eyes reflecting the silver glow. Elara took a deep breath and focused on calm, not fear. The creature, sensing no threat, slowly backed away, melting into the shadows. Kalen's expression was unreadable. "Well done," he said finally. You are learning not only to control your power but to guide it. But remember, strength alone does not make you invincible. Wisdom is the shield that protects it. Alara nodded, feeling a swell of pride. She had faced something that could have terrified her moments ago, and emerged in control. She had learned a lesson not only about the forest but about herself. As they continued walking, Kaelin spoke softly, almost as if sharing a secret. There are forces that will seek to test you, Alara. Not all of them will be so forgiving. Some will strike without warning, and some will manipulate, deceive, and tempt you. You must be vigilant, not just with your strength but with your heart. Alara felt a strange flutter in her chest. She understood the words on one level, but another part of her, the part that had always been alone, always been mocked, sensed something more. Kaelin's gaze lingered on her longer than necessary, and a tension grew between them, unspoken but undeniable. I will be careful, she said, voice steady though her heart raced. I trust you, Kaelin. He did not smile, but there was a flicker of warmth in his eyes. Trust is dangerous, he said. Yet sometimes it is necessary. Remember that. The afternoon passed with rigorous lessons. Kaelin taught her how to move silently, how to read the subtle signs of the forest, how to anticipate danger. Alara's confidence grew, and with it, her skill. The stick pulsed with energy, a constant reminder that she carried something extraordinary. By evening, they arrived at a hidden glade, where the moonlight poured like silver rain through the trees. Kaelin stopped and faced her. Tonight, he said, you will face a greater challenge. A darkness has sensed your awakening. It will come, drawn by the energy within you. You must confront it, alone, if necessary. Alara's heart skipped. She had never faced anything truly dangerous without Kaelin at her side, but she had grown. She had learned control, focus, and courage. She nodded, gripping her stick tightly. I am ready, she said, though doubt still lingered. Night fell fully, and the glade was bathed in pale light. The shadows stretched, moving with a life of their own. Alara closed her eyes, feeling the energy around her, sensing the rhythm of the forest, and waited. It came silently. A figure, dark and almost intangible, slithered into the glade, drawn by her power. Its eyes glowed faintly, and it radiated a cold, oppressive energy. Alara felt a shiver, but she did not falter. Face it, Kaelin's voice echoed softly in her mind. Control, focus, courage. Alara raised her stick, letting the energy flow through her. The shadows recoiled slightly, sensing resistance. She wove a circle of light, not to destroy, but to command, to assert her presence. The figure hesitated, confused by her control. She realized something then. The creature mirrored her fear, her uncertainty. The more she believed in herself, the weaker it became. Drawing on every lesson Kaelin had taught her, she focused on calm, strength, and clarity. The figure shuddered and finally dissipated into the night, leaving only a faint whisper of darkness behind. Alara's chest heaved, a mixture of relief and triumph washing over her. She had faced the forest's test and she had not failed. Kaelin stepped forward, his expression unreadable, yet there was a subtle warmth in his gaze. You have done well, Alara, far better than I expected. But remember, this is only the beginning. Greater forces are watching, and they will not all be so easy to deter. Alara nodded, feeling a mix of pride and apprehension. She had grown stronger, more confident. Yet she knew the path ahead would demand even more of her courage, wisdom, and resilience. As they walked back through the forest, a silence settled between them. It was comfortable, yet charged with unspoken words. Alara felt the connection with Kaelin deepening, an invisible bond forged through trust, lessons, and shared purpose. For the first time in her life, she understood that strength was not just physical. It was courage, wisdom, and the willingness to face the darkness within oneself. And for the first time, she felt truly ready. The forest seemed alive around them, as if acknowledging her growth. Yet, even in this moment of triumph, a faint unease lingered. Somewhere deep in the shadows, eyes watched, waiting, measuring. The real challenge was yet to come. Kaelin's gaze softened, a rare moment of openness. "You are learning fast, Elara. Faster than anyone I have ever encountered. But remember this. Every choice has a consequence. Every action shapes the path ahead. You must be ready, always." Elara looked at him, understanding the weight of his words. The bond between them was growing, subtle but undeniable. A mixture of respect, trust, and something more. She did not yet know what it was, only that it mattered and that it would shape the battles to come. As they returned to the small clearing where she had slept, the moon rose high, casting silver light over the forest. Elara gripped her stick, feeling its warmth, its energy, its connection to her very being. She had faced fear, commanded power, and emerged victorious. Yet she knew the journey was far from over. The darkness would return, stronger and more cunning, and when it came, she would need every lesson, every ounce of courage, and every shred of strength she had learned. She glanced at Kaelin, his figure blending with the shadows, and felt a spark of certainty. Together, they could face what was coming, and somewhere, deep in the forest, a faint shadow stirred, sensing her power, waiting for the moment to test her again. The forest was still, almost unnaturally quiet. Moonlight fell through the tall trees in silver beams, illuminating the moss-covered ground and casting long, shifting shadows. Elara stood at the edge of the clearing, gripping her stick tightly. The energy within it pulsed stronger than ever, responding to her heartbeat, her determination, her fear, and her courage, all at once. Kaelin stepped beside her, silent as the night. His silver eyes scanned the forest with sharp intensity, sensing the darkness that had been waiting for her. "It is here," he said quietly, almost reverently. "The force tied to your stick. The shadow you felt. It will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine." Elara nodded. Her hands did not tremble. She had grown in the forest, under Kaelin's guidance, mastering her fear and learning control over the energy that had always been inside her. Yet, even with all her training, a shiver ran down her spine. The shadow waiting for her was not just dangerous, it was ancient, a force older than the forest itself. "Remember," Kaelin continued, his voice low, almost a whisper carried on the wind. "Courage is not the absence of fear. Strength is not only in power. The choices you make now will define who you are. Trust yourself, and trust what you have learned." Elara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the stick in her hands. She could sense the shadow now, its presence cold and heavy, like the weight of the night itself pressing down on her. Its form shifted, intangible and dark, eyes glowing faintly, like coals in the black. "You can do this," she whispered to herself, and for the first time, she felt truly certain. The shadow moved, faster than the eye could follow, circling her, testing her, seeking weakness. Elara lifted her stick and focused. The energy flowed from her into it, bright and warm, weaving a protective circle around her. The shadow recoiled slightly, unsure, as if it had expected fear and found resolve instead. Kaelin's voice cut through the tension, firm and steady. "Do not let it manipulate you. It will try to tempt, frighten, and confuse. You must remain clear, calm, and in control." Elara's heart pounded, but she remembered his lessons. She did not let panic take hold. She listened to the forest, to the energy in her stick, and to the rhythm of her own breath. Slowly, deliberately, she extended the stick forward. The glow expanded, reaching toward the shadow. The darkness twisted and shrank, hissing in frustration. It lunged, faster than before, testing her. But Elara was ready. She moved with control, weaving the light with purpose. Every motion was precise, every decision calculated. The shadow faltered, reacting to her command rather than forcing her reaction. Kaelin watched silently, impressed, yet wary. The forest seemed to pulse around them, alive with anticipation. Alara felt a surge of confidence, realizing that the shadow was a reflection of the fear she had once carried: fear of weakness, fear of failure, fear of being powerless. Now, she faced it not with anger or doubt, but with understanding. The shadow screamed, a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Alara's energy flared, bright and strong, illuminating the clearing. With a final, focused gesture, she directed the stick's power at the shadow, not to destroy, but to contain and transform it. Slowly, the darkness dissolved, leaving only a faint mist in its place. The oppressive weight lifted, and the forest seemed to exhale. Ilara's chest heaved with exhaustion and triumph. She had faced the force tied to her stick and emerged victorious. Not through raw strength alone, but through courage, control, and wisdom. Kaelin stepped closer, his expression unreadable. Then, he finally spoke, his voice softer, almost tender. "You have done what few could. You have faced the darkness within and without, and you have won. Not by overpowering it, but by understanding it." Ilara lowered her stick, the glow fading as the energy settled. Her legs shook, but not from fear, from the intensity of what she had accomplished. I did it," she whispered, hardly believing her own words. Kaelin's eyes softened. For the first time, the centuries of distance and caution in him seemed to waver. "Yes, Ilara, you did. And that is why you are extraordinary." There was a pause, filled only by the soft sounds of the forest. Ilara looked at him, and for a moment, the tension between them, unspoken and growing for weeks, seemed to settle into something tangible. She felt a warmth in her chest, an acknowledgement of the bond they had forged through trust, challenge, and shared struggle. "You have changed," Kaelin said quietly, almost a whisper meant only for her. "Stronger, wiser, braver than anyone in the village, or perhaps even anyone I have known in centuries." Ilara's lips curved slightly. "I never believed it," she admitted. "Not until now." Kaelin studied her, eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and something deeper, something he had tried to ignore. "Belief is powerful, Ilara, but it is not enough. Action, courage, and the choice to rise, that is what defines strength. And you have made that choice." They stood in silence for a moment, the night stretching around them like a living thing. Then, from the deeper shadows of the forest, a faint rustle sounded. Ilara stiffened, ready to raise her stick again. Kaelin's hand rested lightly on her shoulder, grounding her. "Do not be afraid," he whispered. "There will always be darkness. But now you know how to face it. And you are not alone." Ilara nodded, feeling the truth of his words. She had been mocked, underestimated, and scorned all her life. Yet here she was, standing strong, guided by her own courage, and the lessons Kaelin had taught her. She was no longer the girl who walked with a stick for weakness. She was a force of her own making, respected by the very being the village feared. The forest seemed to hum with approval, the moonlight shimmering like a blessing over her head. She felt the stick's energy pulse one final time for the night. A steady heartbeat in her hands. A reminder that she carried not just power, but responsibility. Kaelin looked at her, his expression revealing a rare vulnerability. "There is something I must confess," he said slowly. "I have walked this world for centuries, carrying darkness, regret, and solitude. I have never found someone like you. Someone whose spirit matches the strength they wield." Ilara's heart skipped. She did not know what to say, only that the words felt like an acknowledgement of something she had sensed between them. A bond beyond teacher and pupil, beyond strength and skill. "You believe in me," she said quietly. "I do," Kaelin replied, his gaze unwavering. "Not because I am compelled to, but because I see what others cannot. Your courage, your wisdom, your heart. They are rare, even in centuries of existence. Ilara's chest tightened with emotion. For so long, she had lived in the shadow of doubt, mockery, and fear. But now, under the silver light of the moon, with Kalen's gaze upon her, she felt seen, truly seen, in a way she had never imagined possible. The forest around them seemed to acknowledge it too. The shadows were no longer threatening. They simply watched, respectful, as if recognizing the bond that had formed between the girl and the alpha vampire. Kalen stepped closer, his hand brushing against hers briefly. The contact was fleeting, yet it carried an intensity that left her breathless. "Tonight, you have proven yourself," he said. "But remember, challenges will come again. Darkness never sleeps. And there will be trials that demand more than strength. They will demand trust, heart, and sacrifice." Ilara nodded, gripping her stick firmly. "Then I will face them," she said. "With courage, with control, and with you." Kalen's eyes softened, just for a moment, revealing a depth of emotion he had long kept hidden. "Together. Then," he whispered. The forest seemed to exhale around them, the night alive with quiet approval. Stars twinkled above, and the moon cast a silver glow over the glade. For the first time, Ilara did not feel small, weak, or alone. She felt powerful, alive, and ready for whatever the future might hold. And even as the shadows shifted in the deeper forest, waiting, watching, she knew this. No darkness, no curse, no force could diminish what she had become. She was no longer the girl who walked with a stick as a symbol of weakness. She was the girl who faced the shadows, controlled the power within her, and earned her place in a world that had once mocked her. Kalen stepped back slightly, giving her space yet remaining close. "The journey is far from over," he said softly. "But tonight, you have earned a victory that few ever will. Remember it. Hold it close, and let it guide you." Ilara smiled faintly, feeling the truth of his words. "I will," she said, "and I will not forget what I have learned, or who helped me discover it." The forest was quiet now, the danger past, at least for this night. Yet somewhere deep in the shadows, faint rustling reminded them both that darkness never truly vanished. It waited, tested, and challenged. And one day, Ilara would face it again stronger, wiser, and ready. But for now, she stood tall, her stick in hand, her spirit unbroken, and the alpha vampire by her side. And in the quiet of the ancient forest, a bond had formed, one of trust, respect, and something neither had expected, yet both had silently acknowledged. The journey into darkness had begun, but Ilara had discovered her light, and nothing could extinguish it.